Welcome to Six Figs. I'm Kyle, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about everything DFINITY internet computer ecosystem at the highest level possible. We got some really cool stuff, I promise, that you've never seen on any other chain. Hit me up on X at Real6Fig. We're going to be starting off with TacoDao, which I'm super bullish on, and this is like the S&P 500, but on crypto. Now, TacoDao is doing due diligence on OpenChat. And basically, they're looking to spend some of their treasury to add OpenChat to the portfolio. This is huge. I think OpenChat is one of the widest used applications on the internet computer at this point in time, so it shouldn't be a no-brainer, but they get down and dirty. They dig in between the fingernails and stuff like that to try to break down pros and cons of adding the project. Then the community gets to decide if it's worth adding to the portfolio. So super bullish on that. DFINITY folks have basically somehow got 11,000 people to sign up for the World Computer Hacker League. Now, this is largely due in part to Caffeine AI. And if you're not familiar with what Caffeine AI is, basically it is an application that's prompt-based. And basically it allows you to tell the application what kind of application you want to build. So basically 2 minutes ago, I said, hey, I want to build an appointment-based application to manage my appointments. It asked me a couple of questions. If I wanted the appointment app to include features like reminders or the ability to categorize appointments, etc. And I just simply said yes. And within 3, 4, 5 minutes, now I've got a fully blown basically appointment scheduling application that I can use. This is amazing stuff. And this is just based off 2 prompts, basically less than like a simple sentence and the word yes. So you can kind of see how advanced this is. But here's the deal. I know Dominic Williams is not going to be satisfied with this as it sits. And you can build really complex and professional stuff right now. But the more DFINITY machine learns these prompts and things like that, which I'm sure they're doing, the better this thing is going to get over time is going to be absolutely insane. Now, I've been telling you guys that Caffeine AI is going to be a neck breaker for the last 8 months. And a lot of people were doubting it because they had no experience with prompt-based AI applications like I do. I knew exactly what DFINITY had here and what they were going for. Markets are in a dump today, and this is largely in part because the Fed, Jerome Powell, baby. Now, he is, what I don't understand about this was July rate cut was kind of always out of the mix. And then it was like for the last month, the cryptoverse, TradFi people were just like, oh, we're going to get an early rate cut. And I'm just like, I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. It's coming in September probably. So markets are kind of reacting. We're seeing things that pump to the heavens kind of retrace. Top 100, they're kind of bumming out. You know, lots of red, lots of red. ICP, we'll check the charts in just a second. Ranked number 39, which is pretty good. But we're chilling at $5.50, still up 8.8 on the month. Now, TacoDao, folks, is really looking quite sexy. I must say that TacoDao is looking very sexy. And really, we had this gigantic falling wedge. And I'm about to release a video on how you can buy TacoDao. Head on over to kongswap.io if you want to buy TacoDao. But really, what's going on here, and I've been telling everybody about this, is that there is this very nice cup that has formed here. We had a nice handle, and now we are seeing price action come down and test the support and resistance level of the top of the cup. Now, I'm just going to go ahead here and clear all these notes and throw up a little bit more legible chicken scratches on the screen for you guys. So you can see that a lot easier, I'm sure. We can see that right there. And now what I'm going to do is just draw up the top of the cup. And you can see where price action is stalling right at this level of resistance and support, right at about the 22-cent area. Now, the thing with TacoDao is that price action is, I'm looking for price action on TacoDao to, at the very least, run up to about 29%. So we're looking at about 33% gains from here. But if things get really wild, I think that we could see TacoDao maybe at the very least run up to about 31% or 31 cents, excuse me, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I do think that at that point in time, there might also be something greater, like a more giant inverse head and shoulders that could be storming the charts. So we might be seeing something like this occur, or maybe something like this will occur later on. So my eyes are open on TacoDao right now, and I'm telling you guys, this is one of the sleeper projects that nobody's really talking about. Kong Swap, folks, had a very nice little ascending triangle that was forming. I was hoping we would get a Fibonacci sliver by default, and a Fibonacci sliver by default is really when you're working against a Fibonacci channel and price, and this is a term I coined several years ago. When you're working against a Fibonacci channel price, it forces the price to squeeze, right? So we saw this, and obviously the market's kind of turned bearish the last few days, so the bottom fell out on Kong Swap. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, and it almost looks like there could have been a bullish Gartley or something like that executed here. That is a harmonic pattern. So really, it wouldn't surprise me to maybe see Kong Swap rip down to the 17 to 15 cent-ish area, down maybe 14.5 cents, somewhere in that neighborhood. But Kong Swap, it's still a good project, one of the best dexes on the IC. Now, the last time I covered chat, I was kind of predicting that we would see this movement through this Ichimoku cloud, which still is bullish. We're looking at the daily chart right now, and price has been trying to move through this Ichimoku cloud. So, this prediction is very right still, and it's still got quite a bit of time to run through this Ichimoku cloud, in my opinion, simply because this is one of the thinnest Ichimoku clouds ever. So I do think that chat is going to be super bullish, and my previous prediction is that we might see something like this occur. A nice cup and handle, or possibly even an inverse head and shoulders, very similar to this occur. That would be ideal. Now, Gold Dow is really still in the same position that I was talking about the last time I did TA 2 weeks ago on Gold Dow. We've got a nice cup and handle still forming. So we are still within this falling wedge here. So if prices do give up, this thing's going to bleed down to a penny. But I think that if prices turn around, maybe we get a surprise rate cut, or when the rates cut, we'll see, hopefully, this cup and handle execute. There is a defined cup and handle here. So if that happens, 3.5 cents, which you're looking at, 50, 60, 70% gains from here. Now, EXE is holding on. EXE is holding on. This is Windows 98, and they are really holding on very nicely. But we're not seeing these highs continuing to get higher, right? We had the lows getting higher, the highs were getting higher, and the lows were getting higher. So right now, I'm kind of optimistic on what's going to happen here with Windows EXE. Currently sitting at about 11 cents. It's in this symmetrical triangle squeeze now. And really, I would say that this thing's going to start making a move probably within the next week. We're going to start to see which way this thing starts to move. Now, there is something with Windows, and that is if it does start pumping, we'll get a golden cross out of this, probably sometime in August. But this is one of those plays where I'm just kind of hurry up and waiting. Bob had a beautiful, beautiful falling wedge that had formed. Unfortunately, the markets, have decided that it's not ready to execute. And whenever you start to see bullish patterns like this fail to execute, over a long period of time, it's usually not a bullish sign. So this is very unfortunate. I'm not holding any Bob or anything like that at this moment. I've got to wait for Bob to kind of do its thing and present some sort of formatable pattern to, to judge my trades off of. Now, ICP is in this mega killer falling wedge, and we're seeing this falling wedge execute, and we're seeing the prices really kind of rest on this 50 moving average at about $5.22. We still haven't seen price come back down and touch the upper trend line of this falling wedge, which kind of makes me a little bit worried. So if it breaks this, I think that we could easily see a $4.75 level. And typically speaking, when price action is trying to move through thick parts of the Ichimoku cloud, it gets shot down and rejected. It just happens more oftentimes than not. But when you get really thin parts of the Ichimoku cloud, like down in here, it's very easy for price action to jump through. So if we can't break through up to $9-10, I think price action could stall out into this fall, September-ish. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Caffeine AI is going to be a large part of it. And we'll just take a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance as well. And you guys, I've been telling you guys about Bitcoin dominance for a long time now. We're seeing the alts and stuff like that kind of pump. And nobody else is showing you this chart in crypto. I can guarantee you that. At least with these falling or rising wedge patterns, which are very bearish. And if basically the dominance continues to fall, like right now we've got an A, B, C corrective wave, possibly down to this 200 moving average at about 58%. So I'm thinking if we're lucky, we'll get a DE falling wedge. And I do think that right now, when it comes down to it, we could see this dominance really plummet down to 56 all the way down to 50%. And if we see huge retracements like this, we'll see like what we saw back in February, March of 2021 when the alt markets and everything just went wild. That was a wild time for crypto. So if we see this happen, then I think we're going to be sitting good. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit me up on X at Real6Fig. Make sure to check out all the projects I mentioned in this video. Peace.